But I'm going to ask Chris and Ashley just to come up and share with us. There might be new faces to some. They're new in the church about a year, but let's give them a hand as they come up. Okay, so Chris and Ashley, you guys are a young married couple. Recently finished your studies in Bloem in 2020, and you've found yourself all the way here in East London. Lovely to have you guys. Can you just tell us of your experience coming into the city?
Okay, so when we moved from Bloemfontein, it was quite difficult for us because Chris and I were very invested in our previous church, very committed, and it was like a very big part of our life, and our relationship was going to church and being part of the community. So when we came to East London, we didn't have a church yet, so it was very lonely. We didn't have any friends. We didn't have people inviting us over for coffee or for braai or anything like that. We didn't go to church on Sunday, so it felt very lonely. And also, like, the structure of our life was just gone because we didn't have, a check-in point every week, checking in with your friends and just chatting and stuff. So yeah, it was very lonely and unstructured.
Chris, tell us, how did you go about actually looking for a Christian community? What were sort of some of the priorities? Obviously, good coffee was high on the list, but tell us about some of the next most important things.
Yes. Like Ashley said, we were quite invested in our previous church. So when we moved down, we both decided in unity with each other that we're going to make church non-negotiable thing for us. So you wanted to find a church in East London where we can be planted and where we can grow. So we went to a couple of churches and we didn't find it's our home. And then actually the one Sunday we watched online because we figured we can see more churches that way than driving up and down all the time. So we watched Shofar online, and something just touched in our hearts. And we decided the next Sunday we're going to come to church. And we came to church, and from the usher ministry to the praise and worship, was really amazing. And Pastor Andre preaching, you can see the leadership. We just walked out of here and said, "This is our home where we want to be planted in."
Awesome. Ashley, just let us know a little bit of your experience here at Shofar and especially later on in getting into life group.
So when we started coming to Shofar, it was a bit awkward because we didn't know anyone. So we would come to church, sit down, and then we'd leave straight after the service, which was very different for us. We always would stay after church and chat to our friends and stuff. So in the beginning, it was very awkward. But as soon as we became planted in a life group and started serving at church, the people that were just strangers for us in the beginning started becoming our friends, and it felt so good to go every week, and there's people that want to pray for you, there's people that want to know what's going on in your life and how it's going with you, and it's nice to come into church and see people and greet each other, and you feel so seen and so known when someone at church knows who you are, knows your name and greets you. So it just became, instead of just being strangers in the church, it started becoming our family, and it's so nice now to see that grow in life groups and at church.
Awesome. Chris, why would you say that this is important, though, to plug in? How can you encourage the church just to get involved?
So I just want to say a scripture in Proverbs 27, verse 17. It says there, iron sharpens iron, so does one person sharpens another. And I think that's why it's so important to be planted in a local church like Shofar East London, because you can come have a community and people can have a imprint and say in your life in a spiritual way. We don't always find that in the world on worldly friends. It's difficult. But when you're planted in a church or planted in a life group, those people can have a godly saying influence in your life. That's so important. And also for us, being new in East London, through the church and life groups, that's where we met all our friends and meet new people. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Let's give them a hand.